there, Pisces. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're well. I'm looking forward to bringing through all of the messages for the month of August. Apollo's giving a nice big yawn there, welcoming everybody, wishing you a good day, whatever time it might be. Really some great messages are coming through for this month. A lot of change, a lot of shifting, a lot of growth. So I'm hoping to help you navigate through that. I'm going to let this guy get back to his very important napping, and we're going to talk through all of the messages for this month. I'd like to begin by welcoming everybody. If it's your first time here, let me just properly introduce myself. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, a little tuft of Apollo's hair there. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. I like to show up every month to help you navigate through all the opportunities. I'm a big proponent of free will. So I know there's a lot of readers out there that may kind of show you things and make you feel like you have to watch and you're kind of you're stuck in that path. I'm the reverse. I really think what this is about is your choice, your opportunity, and your empowerment. So as we look at everything here in the month ahead, that's really what it's going to be, is a chance to react to all of the different paths that are in front of you. And the way that I operate and kind of create this reading is so that you can use it as a toolkit for right here and right now, and also specifically for the month of August. And then we're going to be looking at it for your sun, your rising, and your moon. So if you happen to know whatever part of your chart this falls in, Pisces, then that's perfect for that. If you just know your birth sign, that's also enough. You can watch on behalf of someone else as well. The way that I structure it, it's in 4 major parts. I like to begin with a psychic download, and I'll give you a sneak peek. I always sit here in the morning and I channel out a bunch of messages, and that's what I will start with. It's basically just psychic information at the beginning. And after I do that, then I'll move along to the deck of cards that I've chosen for you today, and we'll look at the traditional Celtic Cross with highlights and challenges and opportunities. And then I expand the forecast to look at some specific areas which I know are really important to all of us, including health, wealth, love, and destiny. We'll do a quick review after that, and then we go into a deeper energy that I call the soul path. And the soul path is going to focus on some things that come through in the cards and the messages. So it's kind of unique for each and every sign. I used to try and theme it, but now I realize it's more important to just make it sign specific. So as we get into the reading, we'll organically look at what we want to focus on in the past, the present, and the future. And that'll set you in a good trajectory for the rest of this year. And then we do a meditation to bring it all together with a little bit of sound therapy. So I think it's a nice all-encompassing way to kick off the month. For anybody that is a return viewer, I'd just like to welcome you back. I saw some of the familiar faces in chat before I got started. And if this is your first time here and you're able to catch a live reading today, thanks. It's so good to see you. And again, I think it's going to be a really impactful reading today. Welcome to Ryan and Maria. They're my 2 moderators. They help me hold a nice safe space here. They answer some of the frequently asked questions, and I appreciate them. So just be kind to them and they'll help you out if you have any questions. And one last thing, and then we're going to get started. If you would like to show support while I am talking, there's this nice little thing here called Super Chat. It's right next to the emojis here. And this is a great way to just give a little bit of love, joy, and sort of a love donation if you want to. And that helps me continue to buy new cards and supplies. So I know a lot of you are also channel members, or you support me on Patreon. So wherever you do it, I just want to say thank you for that support. That's how I'm here, and that's also why I'm here. So thank you so much. Okay, let's get into the month ahead. And as always, my channeled messages come through in sort of a myriad of ways. I get some through dreams. I get some through meditating just before I start. And a lot of these were coming through in dreams last night. One of the first things that I was looking at was a winding road, and it kind of would remind you of the winding road that you would see maybe in like the 10 of Wands card, where you see someone going up a hill, they have all that stuff on their back and the destination's there. The road is very rarely a straight path, and I think the older you get, the more you realize that it's never as easy as it seems, and there's never like a black and white version of the truth. It's always kind of a little bit more twisting and winding. And what I was really understanding as I looked at this is that it was about memories. And in particular, if you think of like a painting or even an artistic expression, memories tend to accentuate the most positive or nostalgic components of your past, or sometimes the most difficult. Rarely do they show the shades of gray in between. And so I just want to talk about that first. and then say that the truth is sometimes more of a winding path or has more shades in between it. And I think what you're going to be doing this month in various aspects of your life is digging a little bit deeper to get the context on something. So when you first meet somebody, you may think back to your expectations of, maybe if it's someone, especially for those of you that might be doing online dating, it may even just sort of be, you thought it would be something else, or you were kind of comparing it to the past. So whether it's a comparison of expectations, or if it is you in a present situation trying to recapture something from the past, there's a sort of general warning about nostalgia this month, which is, this is what matters now. And maybe you could look back through a different lens at what you thought was real, and it may not be exactly the way it was. I've talked before about, like, if you go into your old school or old neighborhood or an old apartment that you've lived in, it usually looks and feels a lot differently, partly because all of the stuff around you that you've kind of created to evoke the energy and the comfort in that space is gone, but also because you grow up, you grow kind of emotionally within and also kind of cognitively, and you can just see everything through a different lens. Maybe, the people that you used to grow up around, they just don't seem as supportive or as enlightened because you can see the small-mindedness or whatever. Or maybe you realize they were so much wiser than you ever knew, especially if it was like a grandparent or something, and they tried to tell you something, and now that you're a little older, you see the wisdom in that advice. It kind of cuts both ways. So dig a little deeper this month past the initial expectation, assumption, or recollection, because as you go a little deeper, additional context and understanding is going to happen. There's some practical reasons why this is super important, because for many of you, this is going to help with areas of forgiveness, release, and potentially, for those of you in business, negotiations, or even just if you're trying to buy a house or something, you may be able to connect with a person or help them realize, like, things are changing in the market and things like that. So it's about getting real and about getting more context. So some exciting things there that basically just come through slowing down for a second, reevaluating, and putting your sort of your figurative, like, metaphysical glasses on so that you can investigate and see it from a different angle. Thanks, by the way, to the new members and to everyone giving a super chat. I will give you a little gratitude at the end when this is on replay. Okay, next piece that came through was a more sort of enjoyable symbol than I saw earlier this week. I saw a wasp or a hornet, which was still fun. I said it was a power symbol. Last night I saw a caterpillar as I was meditating, and they're just kind of fuzzy and fun to look at. So I was like, thank you. That's a nice insect to send me in my dreams. I love caterpillars because, of course, they are all about transformation, right? Changing, metamorphosis, catalyst. And so this is a period, though, because it's not the butterfly, it is the caterpillar, and it wasn't even the chrysalis stage. This is the time to kind of like enjoy the pause, if you have a pause, and try to kind of grow, expand, and maybe for some of you, it's like training or repackaging of things. But at the very least, it's kind of like feeding your heart, feeding your soul, feeding your mind in some way, shape, or form. All of this with the express purpose of finding a way to transform or to shift or to move. Ease into that change and see what's possible. I'm going to talk in a moment about why that's important, but sometimes we are resistant to what that might be. If you can think of all the kind of change in your life less as a tower and more as a caterpillar, it's going to be a little bit easier. It's like, I need to really try to take this in and understand how it's changing me, how I want to change. And the cool thing with the caterpillar, I've watched videos before, particularly like the monarch caterpillars before they become a butterfly. When they go and create the chrysalis, they've already started to change underneath the skin. So by the time they shed the skin, the change has happened. And then they do another change there, and then they sit and go into that metamorphosis and basically completely change inside. But it's one of the things I would say is that you've already changed. You've already started that process. It may just not feel like it yet. And a lot of the reading today will be trying to dig in and understand how, where, and why these changes are happening for you. Now, this is a nice segue into an image that came to me after I was typing all of this and sitting in my bedroom this morning. It was early before the light had started to kind of like shine its way through the, the curtains. But I closed my eyes again. I'm like, what else do I need to see or know or tell the sign? And then the next thing that I saw was a waterfall. And I like that too, because to me, water is about clearing, moving, and also there's a lot of power with it too. So and with waterfalls also, if you've ever been to like Niagara Falls, there's this great gravity and it's like constructive energy or destructive. It's both. That's the kind of like metamorphosis energy or tower-like energy as well. If you allow yourself to be pulled into this new sort of flow, then I believe that you'll gain momentum in certain parts of your life. If you try to sort of fight the flow of energy, it's kind of like if you've ever looked at a science fiction movie and there's time travelers that are stuck. They're kind of marooned in a new time. They can't get out. There's this moment where they are denying to themselves this couldn't have happened, or there has to be a way. And sometimes there's no way out of that new timeline. The sooner they can embrace the opportunities in that timeline, the easier it is for them to adjust. And at some point, even if a portal opens up to go back, they don't necessarily want to. I haven't finished reading or watching all of it, but like, is it Outlander or something like that? Where she touches a stone and goes into the past, but then she meets like the love of her life or something like that. You never know where the path is going to bring you. And I think that we're in a point right now where obviously on this planet, time is more linear. We can go back into the past and touch upon things and heal them and understand them, but we can't necessarily live there. And even if we could, we'd be cheating ourselves of the moment right now. So I think what's happened on a global scale is we've all been shifted forward and out of the old timeline. I've talked about this before, and there is no complete return to the old one. It's like an earthquake in California. If a plate shifts, you can't pull those plates back. They've already moved. The land is shifted, everything's moved a little bit, and you can see and feel the sort of seismic events. So if we can embrace the energy of movement, it won't feel so jarring. If we keep fighting it, it will feel less enjoyable, and we're not going to grow in the way that we should. This is a metaphor not just for August, but 2020. So we're in a waterfall right now, and we have to keep moving with the waterfall and see where it takes us. And there's some things that we can do in this to keep our sanity. And part of it was that caterpillar. If there's places in our life where we can grow and learn and take advantage of the downtime, let's do it. Because I do feel there'll be a point where we're going to have to pick up and move quickly again. And you'll wish you had some of this lockdown time. So enjoy it now while you have it. For some of you, there are windows of opportunity that are opening up right now. Maybe you were accepted to a college that you want to go to. Maybe you have a job that really needs you, and there's some interesting things that you have to kind of do right now. But maybe it's not the timing that you want, the way that you want, the thing that you had imagined it. And so the same way I was talking about putting on those spectacles and looking at, the past, I think as we look at future opportunities, we need to put on our glasses as well and realize that I put another kind of metaphor here. Lightning sometimes only strikes usually it only strikes once in the same place. There's a Stevie Nicks lyric where she says lightning strikes maybe once, maybe twice. But she's talking about love there. In opportunities, sometimes it only strikes once. So if you've got an opportunity to go to, like I said, maybe go to university, to have this job that requires a move, maybe you've met someone that's really amazing and there's something that opens up, seize that opportunity. For those of you that are upset because it's not looking like what you thought it would, particularly for those of you that were looking forward to like campus life, if you're a student or if your job now requires you to work from home and you really liked working on site, I think it's important to evaluate the loss. If you give that up, you may not be able to go back there. And we don't know how short or how long everything's going to be, but assume on one timeline that nothing changes and that this is a new way of doing business. If you don't take this window of opportunity, then you're going to be behind. If you, and also if you don't take it because you're just kind of stubborn and angry about it, you're also letting your emotions get in the way. So my guides were kind of pushy on this one, which was open the window and go through it, or open the door and go through it, because this could be exciting and it could be growth. And you don't know how short or long this window will be open. We also don't know how short or long this world event is going to last. It could be very long term, in which case it makes no sense to pass this up because this is the new norm. It could be short term, and you could still be beating yourself up because you will be trying to play catch up. I can't remember which sign I talked about this, but it was a similar message, which is take advantage now, be the caterpillar, soak everything in, take up all of the opportunities in front of you so that you can spread your wings and be the butterfly, whether it's 2021, 2022, or further down the line. You're going to be happy that you did it, and you're going to have more momentum from the waterfall, all that energy that we're talking about. It's actually pushing you in the right path. You feel like you're stuck, but you're not stuck, okay? Now on to the next piece here, which was to practice some self-care and self-love. An old, was it James Taylor song came to mind, which he's like, shower the people you love with love. I'm like, shower yourself with that same love that you give to others. So I think sometimes, particularly for those of us that are parents, teachers, nurses, anybody that's kind of in the service industry right now, all we do, even myself included, you put a lot of energy in helping other people. And this is a reminder that you have to take care of yourself. So whether that's working out, exercising, playing with your dog, doing something where you have a little bit more extra time to just enjoy life, I want you to do some of that as well. It's going to help you with some of the other opportunities that are coming through. You'll be ready for them. You'll feel rested. And the last piece was just very specific, so it may apply to just a few of you. But if you're being pressured right now to do something you don't want to do, maintain your integrity and also maintain the integrity of your goal or your ideas. And I'm all for flexibility and opening up, but I think that for some of you, there might be something really, really important to your own path. And I think you need to honor that for whatever reason. That came through as an important piece. As I was looking at those windows of opportunity, it could also be that, there's something that's coming through to help you. Take it now while it's here, because you're not sure when this might be back. Okay, let's go ahead now. And as I get everything set up on the table here, we're going to move along to the Celtic Cross. And I like to remain quiet at this point just so that I can observe the energy of the cards, the placement, and receive additional energy and insight. But after I have put everything on the table, I will rejoin you and break down the messages for each and every one of you. Just a quick moment again to welcome everybody today. It's such an honor to be ending with Pisces. It's always a really cool sign. Really fluid energy too coming through, so I wasn't surprised that water was one of the messages. And let's get started. I'm excited to see what's coming through for you. Thanks again for the, actually, I know it's a regular, but thank you, Kim, for being a channel member. And we've had a lot of new members this month, and it really does help me so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay, let's see. All right, everybody, thank you so much for giving me a moment to get everything set up here. So we're going to begin with the Catalyst card, and I've been using Lord Ganesha here to help all of us through the obstacles that have kind of become part of 2020. And we also have the number 20 here, which was what I was paying attention to. And we have 21 here. I want to talk about this in a second. But so first and foremost, protection. This is a really good time for you to kind of take a look at all aspects of your life and see if you feel that sense of being grounded and protected. This can be as literal as making sure that you have like the proper insurance to take care of any sort of unforeseen situations that might be coming through. But it's also just a good note for like spiritual protection, making sure that you ground yourself every day, that you have a meditation practice, that you're kind of making sure that you're discerning about the people that you're connecting with. So this is telling me that you have the capacity to defend, to protect, and to exist right now in this kind of spooky world right now and not worry about it so much. And protection is also about protection from getting sick. We'll talk about that when it comes to health, but some of that is about staying positive, about proper self-care, and trying to keep the most positive outlook that you can. These things help the body stay in the highest energy. So eating, sleeping well, thinking well as well also comes through. So we'll look at this periodically as I kind of take a look at some of the other cards. And I'm going to have some additional insights, especially as I look at the world in the deep past. So give me a second here. We'll go to your center card first. We have the Ace of Pentacles, which I love. I think you might be one of the few signs that actually has an ace at the center this month, and particularly the Ace of Pentacles, which is very positive, portends great things. So this is about new opportunities on the horizon, maybe a new job, maybe new money. For some of you, it could also indicate, should I sell something? And we see, of course, the house here or the farm. And so this is not necessarily the best time to sell a house because the price is not necessarily great for a seller, but it is a great time to buy. So for those of you that have saved up, interest rates are low, prices are dropping, and it could be a chance for you to actually achieve something that was out of reach before. So even in periods of kind of like discomfort and even stress, there can be good things like that. So some of you, if you're a first-time buyer or if you've saved up the money, there's a chance here to perhaps buy a house. This is also a really good time for innovation with respect to businesses and new sort of concepts and products. So if you're an entrepreneur or if you've been building a business and maybe it was virtualized already, you may be seeing a surge in business because you're able to meet a need that couldn't be met otherwise. And maybe this is a time for you to also start to embrace new virtual forms of doing business as well. So whether that is like Zoom or some other form of telepresence, it's a really good time to kind of explore that. So innovation, a window of opportunity that's short for some of you that could, again, be looking at buying or investing. Investing is another thing. You wouldn't think that this would be a good time, but as markets continue to go down, valuable stocks are there and they're available for you. So lots of things to consider with money. It's not always bad when markets adjust. It's just where are you at in the spectrum? If you're looking for work and you're short of money, then it's a challenging time. If you have money or if you see some sort of an opportunity to fill a gap that hasn't been filled, then you could actually also be okay. So this is where your innovation, your hope, your ability to kind of brainstorm is going to come into play. So be creative, be open, and be open to an opportunity. There might also be someone around you that is sort of saying, hey, I could use your help. Are you interested? Because an ace is just that. It's sort of the universe reaching out. So be open and you might find something. The important thing right now is not to give into stress too much. We have the Nine of Swords here. And Nine of Swords often does haunt us at night. It's interesting here where we see like a little bat in the window. But what I would say with Nine of Swords is, first of all, if you don't have a schedule in your life, it's not just about going to sleep. I love the fact that I meet you guys, about 4 times a week at 9 a.m. because what it does is it gives me a routine. I'm up by 6 a.m. usually, 6 a.m. and I've started the day and I have to get everything ready for this presentation. It's not like I just throw on a shirt and turn on the camera and go. I've got to write all the cards, pick the deck of cards. Write these cards and then also pick the deck that I'm working with and meditate, get everything ready. So I have a routine and I go to bed at a certain time. So I think Sleep and wake schedules are super important. And then the other thing with this is if you have fearful moments or thoughts that come through, triggers, in other words, I want you to kind of go deeper into the trigger and understand, like, is it because I'm afraid of what I might find if I do this, or if I ask about this? What is your worst case scenario? What's causing it? And if you can kind of understand if it's just an irrational fear, or if it's maybe just a fear of learning something, you can get some help, you can get some support on that, and it won't be as scary as you think. The good thing with the Nine of Swords is oftentimes it's just fear itself. So I believe that usually educating yourself on a topic can alleviate the fear. Talking to somebody can help normalize the emotion, and trying something also can, like, just taking a step in the direction can show you if it's safe. So I think that those emotions, and it's a primal sort of thing protecting you, but don't allow it to take over. Now let's talk about this really interesting combination of 20 and 21. So we have the world here in the deep past, which tells me again that this is an end of a cycle. And I actually think that 2020, if we think of it in the terms of like tarot cards, it would be like 2 judgment cards, right? 20 is judgment, and 21 is the world. And so what happens with judgment is it's death and rebirth. And it's almost like we have a couple cycles of death and rebirth this year. And also 2 things that we might be looking at, or something that we think we know and then we see it from another perspective. A lot of times if judgment comes up in a reading, it didn't, but we have 20 here, which is part of it. So it's kind of inferred. We have 2021. I believe next year is going to be a big breakthrough for your sign, for everybody. But 2020 was a year to break things down, to reassemble them, to kind of give you different ways to look at it, to force that reinvention and that metamorphosis that I was talking about. And to really kind of push you into a new direction. So the truth of the matter is the change has already kind of been laid out. It's whether you're ready to go there. And we're on a 1-year cycle right now. And I do believe it'll be a much, much different world by 2021. With the world card here, the question that the universe is kind of positing out to you, is asking you is, are you ready to step into the opportunities that have opened up? Would you make a move, to a different state, province, or country if you needed to? Would you change jobs? Would you go after this life-changing opportunity that might be in front of you? Are you ready to just shift things all over the place in your life and try new things? Growth, change, and movement. It's in your past, and it seems to want to keep happening. And if you think of plate tectonics, the movement is still happening, even if you feel like it's stopped here or you've stopped. So this is your reality check to see, have you made all the requisite changes to ensure that there's no more tectonic shifts, okay? And once you've made those changes, you're protected, you're grounded, you're safe. You got to keep making all the changes, though, so that you can really step into the growth of 2021. Hopefully that makes sense. We have, in your recent past, the Queen of Swords. Love this card. Queen of Swords is great at communication, expression. For many of you, this could be a good time to put things down in writing. Your plans, maybe you're writing something that you're going to sell, whether it's a book or a curriculum or a patent. Might also be a month now that you're signing a contract, and that makes a lot of sense because this could be a contract for a house, a mortgage, a new job, or again, maybe some sort of a legal contract. Looks pretty good to me. I can tell you're stressed out about it, but to me, it looks like it's a big shift, a positive shift. So when I look at Ace of Pentacles, the World card here, or the World Tree, and the Queen of Swords, pretty good. Okay, the only thing that I want you to do this month is speak your mind if there's anything that you're afraid of or that emotionally is kind of triggering you, because the cards that are kind of holding you back right now are Nine of Swords, Ace of Cups reversed, and the Moon card reversed. So to me, those are mostly emotional, but let's talk a little bit about them. It's interesting that I was talking about showering yourself with that same love, appreciation, and encouragement that you might give to others. The Ace of Cups in reverse often comes through for people that have a sort of habit in their life of just giving and giving and giving. So make sure that you're not in any sort of codependent relationships. Make sure that you are at a place where you have some good limits and that you're realistic with what you can do, because this is, usually the Ace of Wands is more of a battery, but the Ace of Cups can be that way too, because it's how much you're invested in something. So, if we're looking at a relationship, maybe you're just not feeling the connection that you used to, or you're not getting the support that you need. If it's a job, you may solely be there for the monetary support, gain, and stability, but your thrill is gone, so to speak. So this is a chance to really kind of get honest with yourself and think, why am I here? And here could be anywhere. Why am I here? What am I getting out of this? Is the environment or the person also present and giving back? And then your answers to those questions are going to inform how you're going to move forward in that. The next card is important. Let me just take a drink and we'll talk about the moon. To me, the moon is a very, very primal way of connecting to your intuition. And it doesn't always come through in the same way that traditional clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience would. So what you could feel with the moon card is something just in your body. Have you ever met someone and it's either just this really great feeling, you think, gosh, I got such a warm energy from them, I really want to hang out with them again, they seem great. Or you just get this icy feeling, or it's every cell in your body is saying no to whatever it might be. I want you to pay attention to those reads, the reads of a room, of a situation, of a gift even. If someone wants to give you something and you're like, I don't know about this, maybe it's best to just say, you know what, I'm good, I don't have any more space, or you can take it and regift it or donate it to charity. Really honor that intuition. There's some primal energy that you're being able to pick up on this month. The moon card is also fear, and we talked about it. I believe that the nine of swords and the moon card definitely feed into one another. So for those of you that are just simply afraid of trying, you've got to find a way to get around the fear, because the fear itself can be self-fulfilling. So if you're afraid of failing and you don't try because of the fear, then you failed. If you're afraid of rejection, so you don't ask, then you've actually rejected yourself and rejected the opportunity that it could happen. So why not let the universe and the powers that be show you what's possible, and step into fear and say, I don't know about that. What if it actually works? And you're going to feel the energy of fear start to recede. It's a shadow. So as you start to shine your light, just like the sun at midday, fear retreats or it becomes hard to see anymore. So become the sort of like inquisitor, like a journalist, and ask fear, why am I really afraid of you? What is it? What's the big deal? I'm going to try this. What if it works? See if fear answers back. So I'm kind of metaphorically speaking of a personification, obviously, of fear. I actually have it as a character in a book that I've written. So I believe that like sometimes we can conjure up that specter of fear or a failure. So don't feed the shadow. Starve the shadow, feed the opportunity, shine your light, and the moon will disappear. If there's someone in your life that is misbehaving, that is not honest, dishonest, that has somehow just let you down, the moon card here in the near future shows me that you can hopefully find a way to be honest about this and just say, hey, I know we talked about this. I don't want to make a big deal about it, but we need to fix this. And you said you were going to do it. Are you going to do it? So just get it out on the table. I think that's the best thing. Be honest, be transparent. You don't have to be argumentative. Just let them know, like, I see you. I know, and I know you know I know. So what are we going to do about this now? And I think that's basically what the moon is telling you this month, okay? Don't give in to fear. Give in to possibility instead. Surrender that kind of energy of what if, and think like, what if it succeeds? And then when it comes to people that are not in their highest light, rather than torturing them or saying bad things or whatever, just say, how can I help you? It seems like you're struggling with what we were talking about. Was I not clear? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Or did you just drop the ball? Whatever's going on, I need to know so I can get it done or I can help you. That's a lot nicer than just kind of immediately going in and having negative exchange with someone. Always ask. You don't know what they're going through. Maybe they lost someone in their life. Maybe they're sick. Maybe there's a lot of pain that they're experiencing. Once I understand where that person's at, I can better temper my reaction to that, because I might start then with empathy. Oh my gosh, I had no idea that was going on. Sorry, it's a package being delivered. So if that's the case, then I think it's really important for you to just focus on that. Okay. Then as we look at the next thing here, we have the Nine of Cups, and it's in reverse. So with the Nine of Cups card, I think what you really want to focus on here is how punctuated your emotions or reactions to things going on in your life are. Are you feeling this sense that, there's no way that I can do this? Again, kind of creating a mountain hill out of nothing. Or are you getting so excited that you kind of overstep or kind of like overjump what the opportunity is in front of you? So Nine of Cups in the upright position is actually very, very positive. It's saying, I can do this. I understand what's going on. And this is great. So it's your passion, it's your joy. When it's reversed, it's kind of going almost in a bipolar energy, which is either over or under reacting, or taking things in a place where you just can't kind of see it. So take a break if you need to. Take some time out to really just make sure that you're okay. And I think neutralize your own emotions. And when we see the Moon card, the Nine of Swords, and the Nine of Cups, especially with the Moon and the Nine of Cups in reverse, if you've ever gotten to that point where you just feel almost like the heat inside of you start to build, like if your anger, because anger actually creates heat. If you ever felt it in your body, you might start sweating. You might just kind of feel it in your belly or somewhere you're flush. Then I want you to not have the conversation that you want to have. Hang up the phone, put the keyboard away, turn off your phone, like go somewhere else and breathe, think it through and talk to somebody about what you're about to do, because that could be kind of like it goes from the Nine of Swords into the Ten of Swords, where you say something that you can't take back. And also think of the same sort of things with yourself, because a lot of this can be kind of like looking internally at you too. So if there's something going on where you're just feeling super critical and you're beating yourself up, please talk to somebody. So I'm just seeing heightened emotions here. And I think that the important thing is to temper the emotions, get some grounding in what's truly happening, talk to somebody, take some time out, sleep on things. So don't get forced into a decision. Don't have an impromptu conversation if you're overly emotional. And it can go either way. Like if you're too excited, that's also not going to portend well. Maybe the other person's in a different place. Just get the energy more at medium. And I think that's going to be a good place, particularly when it comes to conversations, negotiations, and I would rather not call them confrontations, but I would just say difficult exchanges. You need to be at that medium level rather than super high or super low. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, let's take a look at your environment card here. And we have the Nine of Pentacles, which I like. This is an independence card. Notice how this particular Nine of Pentacles shows the full family or team here. Usually with Nine of Pentacles, it's a woman and she's on her own. And so what I'm seeing here is a message about, doesn't have to be a family. It could just be about trying to play well with others, because we actually see the kids in front. So what I would say is, if you can have fun, even if you have to share certain aspects of your space, or literally your space or your job with others, then you're going to do better. And plus, you're going to have a lot less that you have to carry, sort of like as far as responsibilities go, yourself. So there's an opportunity to delegate, which was what I was talking to Aquarius about the other day. I actually feel like there's a built-in option here for you. For some of you, you may be playing the role of mom or dad here and saying, hey, family, I need help with this. And for the rest of you, it could just be about trying to reach out and see who else is there. Because the natural energy of Nine of Pentacles is, I can do this all on my own. So I want to say that if you are kind of in a place where you just don't have help and you're yearning for that, the message is you've got this. If you have a lot of people around you and you're kind of hoarding all of the responsibilities, then the message is, yes, you can do this, but should you? Why not share it? Why not let other people participate, especially if they're waiting for things to do? And a lot of times that's more true in a work environment than a home environment. I'm sure the kids would be happy not to do the chores, but there's a chance to share responsibility here a little bit. And I think that's the main message coming through. I also like that we're seeing two really positive resource cards coming through for your sign. We have an Ace of Pentacles at the center, which can be something new, which can be something sold. And then we have a Nine of Pentacles here. So even if there was a sale and there was a slight loss, this is like a 10% loss. It's not the worst thing. On the flip side, it could mean that you saved up to 10%. And if it's a house, that's a big deal. So some great things there that I'm seeing with money, that I'm seeing with resources and opportunities. You have some opportunities coming through. Anything that you decide to set your mind to this month, progress will be made. So in hopes, fears, and opportunity, we actually have the Three of Wands. And it's interesting because the near future is a hope and fear card. So once you get through that energy of, can I do it? Will it happen? Is it possible? And set your mind on the idea that not only is it possible, but I'm starting it right now. Then you begin the action that creates the Three of Wands. With this Three of Wands, it's interesting because we see instead the ship is already there. Notice how you're normally waiting for it to arrive. With the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, you'll see someone on a hill or a cliff, and you see the ships in the distance. This one, the ship's already here, and it kind of goes to the whole plate tectonic theory that I was talking about with the World card in your deep past, which is the movement has happened, the opportunity is there, the lightning in the bottle has kind of, it's striking. Are you gonna take it, or are you gonna let it go? So I think you have a really great opportunity coming through for growth and development this month, and movement in your life if you're willing to go there. It could be love, it could be career, it could be something different, but it just feels to me like you're being pushed to try something else, okay? And nothing here is overtly dark or negative. I see a little bit of fear with the Nine of Swords, and I see a little bit of uncertainty with the Moon. But most of the cards are about positive stuff. We've got a lot of aces and a lot of higher cards in the pips here. Even the Nine of Cups is not bad. It's actually sometimes just about going overboard. I forgot to mention this. This can be about treating yourself too much. Too much alcohol, too much caffeine, too much sugar, too much whatever it is that you kind of recreationally do. So temper that too. This is a time when that can get out of control. Okay. The final card is a great one here. Your outcome is the King of Wands. And this is the ultimate card for being able to manage, to command respect, to take care of things. And so I feel really good about your business acumen this month. And that may not be the sexiest thing to look at, because I know a lot of readers will be focusing on relationships. But we're in a time right now where I think it is important to be able to sustain. So you have your head on straight here. The King of Wands is showing your cognitive abilities. The only thing that can pull you off path this month is Ace of Cups reversed, or the Moon card reversed, or the Nine of Swords, or even the Nine of Cups. And it's all to me about extremes, about fear, about codependencies, or giving too much or not saying no. And to me, these things are something that with a little bit of practice, I think you can start to make some progress in stepping back from. So this is a great card for business. It's a great card for personal management. The card is in the upright position as well. So sometimes if it's reversed, it can indicate that you're maybe spending too much time or energy focusing on others. I think you've got a good balance this month of everything. So fall into that strength of making good decisions and use that combination of the Moon and the King of Wands, which is instinct and kind of like actual acumen and intelligence, and put them together. So that's what a good business person has anyway, is intuition and intelligence. And so you've got a nice meshing of the two this month, okay? Let's take a look now at the expanded forecast, where we're going to go into health, wealth, love, and destiny. And each one of these messages is multi-part. So let me break it down, starting with health, which I see as mind, body, and spirit. I always have to put my glasses on for the caption on this one. All right, so it says, flip it upside down, question your beliefs. And this was something that I was talking about earlier when I was saying that I could say memories or assumptions sometimes focus on the best or worst aspects. And there's always more of a winding road towards the truth, and you need to dig deeper. And that's really what we're seeing here, is that this month, there's a little bit more to be learned. And when it comes to your health and anything that you're dealing with in your life, don't be afraid to ask that question. Is this right for me? Do I have all the information that I need? How do I truly feel about this? And also, when I see a question card that's coming through in health, it's also about asking questions for your caretakers. If you're depending on someone else and you need something, you need to speak up. If you're going to a doctor, something doesn't feel right, just say it. You may think you're crazy, but it's probably important to bring up. And sometimes there's a phantom pain that might be something else, and you wouldn't know that unless you brought it up. Now, the other piece of this, and this is much more about emotional health, when we see flip it upside down, this has to do with looking at things from another angle. And, I love that we kind of see this light worker in here going into her emotional well, or going into the moon energy that we were just looking at and saying, you know what? I think I can see this from another point of view. It's not as bad, or I'm going to try to find the positive, the silver lining. So there's a little bit of emotional alchemy that I see in this card, which is, and the card, by the way, was reversed. So some of you just have to literally kind of look at it from another point of view. So whatever you're going through, maybe it was a health setback. Maybe it's an emotional trigger that's making you feel this sense of, why can't I get back to that happy place that I was? Or why is this making me feel so afraid or so triggered? So try to go into it a little bit and think, well, what else is going on in my life that's okay? Is this as important as I think it is? Can I ask for some help, etc.? I think you can find another way out of this, but it may involve some assistance. And to me, that's what I see here as light work or therapy or something like that. So don't be afraid to do that this month. Looking specifically and only at the tarot cards this month, let me take a quick look. I talked a little bit about schedules in your life. Because many of us now are working from home, we may lack the sort of the rigor and the organization to make a schedule that we stick to. I've been working from home for a long time now, so it's second nature to me. But I know that when I first stopped a day job, it felt weird, and it took a couple months to fall into that routine. So make one and kind of put some times on the refrigerator if you need to, or set some alarms or timers on your phone. And then when it's like 10 o'clock, you've got to get to sleep so you can get up early enough and start the day. Have an exercise routine, create some schedules. This is going to get rid of the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords comes from fear and a lack of routine, a lack of the predictable. And then just start to do some research on anything that you feel like is getting out of control. Talk to somebody if you're feeling depressed. For those of you that have a family history of depression or any other sort of mental illnesses, this is a chance to really find a way to get that under control, because both of these cards can show that that's exacerbated. It could also just be that you're really stressed out. So be kind to yourself. That was another message that I was saying earlier. Take some time, take a pause, enjoy that break. You're going to be okay. And with the Ace of Pentacles and the Nine of Pentacles, if you don't have the time, energy, or resources around you, it feels like somebody does, and it feels like you'd be able to kind of tap into that. So don't be afraid to ask for help, okay? Because I see that there. So there's no reason to feel alone. Even though you can do it on your own, it feels like there's a lot of help and assistance there that just requires picking up the phone or asking a question. All right, let's go from health into wealth. I was touching upon that a little bit with the Ace of Pentacles and the Nine of Pentacles here. We have Mountain and Strength. And so the interesting thing with the Mountain card is a lot of times when I walk clients through a meditation and we'll kind of go up to the mountain, I'll have them look over their shoulder at how far they've come. I was saying earlier about this sort of winding road that truth and memory takes. They both take it. Very rarely do you just go in a straight line. It looks like that when you put it all in your book and everything, but life is not that easy. It's just like if you're trying to drive to the store, you're going to have red lights. You're going to have people run in front of your car. You're going to have an ambulance. There's all these weird things that happen. It's never just, start and stop. It's a lot of starts and stops and turns and twists, and a road is closed, so you take this road instead. So what I want you to look at is how resilient you are, how creative you've been, and how capable you are of continuing to deal with it. 2020 has been a big old winding road for all of us. And I know a lot of us are just tired. Don't give up. This is also like the Strength card because it says strength right underneath the main title. So for those of you that are feeling like, I don't want to walk up that hill anymore, then I would say push a little bit. It's important to keep pushing. You can't give up, but pay attention to the fight. So I talked about the waterfall energy in the psychic download portion, the channeled message. Are you fighting because you're afraid of letting go of something that used to work but maybe doesn't feel good anymore? If that's the case, it may not make sense to do it. If there is something moving you in a different direction, what I'm seeing is exhaustion here. So why not try something new? Why not try a different path? even for those of us that like hiking, and that's something, excuse me, I used to do a lot, you didn't want to do the same path all the time. It was boring. So I would take 2 or 3 different paths. They've been closed down in LA for most of this year. So that's why it's not that I don't still like hiking. It's just not something we can do right now. So I want you to look at different ways, different paths, find the inner strength and realize I've come this far. I don't want to give up. And it's just a time to explore some new things. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, let's take a look now at, by the way, because we're looking at wealth. As I mentioned here with the Ace and the 9 of Pentacles, I actually feel like there's a lot of opportunities around you, but you might need to ask for help or tap into them a little bit and look around, because we're looking at a mountain. What's the block for you? To me, a mountain is a big block. So it could be a mental block, it could be an emotional block, it could also just be something that you've conjured up. So go into the block and understand it. You could just move around the mountain, you could go underneath the mountain, you could take a different path. To me, the mountain is not insurmountable. There are ways around it. And so this month, when it comes to career, money, and personal development, the question is, how much do I want it? And what other ways can I get to that goal? If I have a single block in front of me, there might be a more effective way than climbing up to the peak and down. So be creative, be open, and maybe you'll be surprised in a positive way as well, because most of your cards are positive and auspicious, particularly the 3 of Wands. It could just take a few more months than expected, because 3 of Wands in reverse is still positive, but it indicates, a slight delay to plans. So let's move along now to relationships. When I look at love, it's for family members, for lovers, but also it can be business relationships. It's basically how well are you working with others, basically. So I love this because we see divine intervention, if you will. And for some of you, maybe for the first time, you're feeling a desire to do something with your passion. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to find the love of your life. It might mean that I am passionate about X, Y, or Z, and I'm going to go and do this finally. So some of you, for those of you that are single and happy or younger and kind of focusing on personal development, career development, it's a really great month for you, because you're going to have this sort of vitality that you haven't had before to go after your passion, your dream. If you're in a relationship, to me, this is a very, there's a lot of fire here. And so what I'm seeing with this is desire. How can we rekindle the flame and the connection with one another? And this is about taking it to a higher level, because we see an archangel here. So this is going to, it's not just about sex. Intimacy is much deeper than that. It's about sharing your hopes, your fears, and your desires, and feeling supported. And when you kind of put that vulnerability out there, you're not being sort of laughed at, you're being embraced, and that partner is there for you. So a higher partnership where you can be vulnerable and intimate. And because of that intimacy, you kind of melt into each other, because you realize I can truly be my authentic self. There's no hiding with this person. So if you're in an existing relationship, honesty, intimacy, but not sex necessarily. Sex can be a nice part of that, but it's not sex and sex alone. It's actually, I really want to get to know you. I really want to support you. I really want to you want to be lifting each other up. So there's some healing that can happen. And the cool thing with this, with the 3 of Wands, is I feel like it's possible. All that's necessary is to acknowledge that there's some stuff that maybe hasn't been going the way that you needed it to, because we want to see both of these cards in the upright. This is being able to embrace those hopes, fears, and possibilities. When it's reversed, there's something that you need to discuss that's been kind of swept under the rug, that hasn't quite been acknowledged. So go into those areas with your partners this month, and I think that'll be key. If you're looking for love, then what I'm seeing here is to really focus on what we see with the 9 of Pentacles, which is independence, self-sufficiency, to release fearful thoughts, fear of being alone, etc., to really feel like you've got this, that even if you were not to meet someone, you could be okay. As you start to open into your self-empowerment, then add the extra piece, like I could do this alone, but I'm ready for love, the highest form of love. Call on your archangels and your highest guides and say, show me the way for personal development so that that partner is drawn to me. But basically, it's always about you. That's one thing where I differ from other readers. I think that your growth and development within yourself is what's going to attract that person. Now, if you're looking for love, we do have the King of Wands here. So, and that's in the outcomes. So ostensibly your connection could be a really strong fire sign. I'm seeing maturity and I'm seeing a nice even match here. So keep working on yourself. There's a little bit of a wait here, the Three of Wands. So it could be 2 or 3 months out, but give yourself time and keep doing the prep work now. It's kind of like you're planting all of the seeds to allow for that to happen. Welcome again to some of my new channel members. That's how you get the green text. You're asking about that. So thank you. Okay, finally, the outcome card here, which I call Destiny in the expanded forecast, is about really embracing the courage that I was talking about earlier. It says, I find the inner strength to face fear with confidence. And as we look at the energy in these cards, because they also represent chakras, we have all of the enlightenment that you would see around the crown or the third eye here. And then we see the power and sort of sometimes even relationship issues that you would see here with the third chakra and the root chakras kind of intermixing. So I think we're at our most powerful when we can pull through all of the energy systems, but you have to be really grounded. And that's why we saw the red, and you have to be in your power and you have to feel creative. So we saw basically the lower 3, and it didn't go into all of the other ones. It was showing the lower 3 and then like the crown. And if you want to go deeper in any path, in your intuitive development, please don't be afraid of activating those lower 3 chakras, because sometimes people are only focusing on this and on this. And if you only open up those 2, you're floating around, kind of like a seed in the wind, and you don't know where to go. When you anchor yourself with the first, you are feeling safe, you're feeling grounded, you're able to stay longer like a tree with roots. When you are expressive and creative, the sexual chakra, when you feel your own sort of ability to create, that's going to be super important. And then you feel your power. Those things, when you pull it up through the top, it's going to be able to help you see things with your full power, with your full potential, with your ability to create and pull it through your voice, your vision, and then connecting to your guides. So never neglect those lower 3. So basically root chakra, sexual chakra, and then also your solar plexus. Because if you do, then you can experience problems in those areas. And a lot of times it's with digestion or our reproductive systems, and that's no fun. So work a little bit on meditating and opening those up. And I think that's going to be good. And that's going to help you find the courage, because it exists here, but it's also those lower ones too. Okay. And that's why the colors were indicated as such. Once you do that, all of a sudden you might have an epiphany. And that's why we see like a crown chakra color coming through and a lot of protection, which by the way is what we see with this. So we have some of the same colors coming through here. We want to ground you, and then then you can open up, then you can see all the possibilities. Okay. Let me get all the cards arranged here, and we're going to do a quick review before we go a little bit deeper at past, present, and future. I want to look at some blocks for you here because we got that mountain card, and maybe what can give you some courage, etc. So let's do that, and then we'll go into the soul path. So the first channeled message that came through was about memories, and just also I would say assumptions. If I had a chance, I would add that in here too. A lot of times these focus on the highest or lowest pieces of information. What you want to go into is understanding that, that the truth is really more of a winding path, and maybe even the way to get to what you want is going to require some creativity and some winding around. So dig a little deeper, like a spiritual archaeologist this month, and you'll get a clearer vision of what needs to happen. You'll get that extra context. This is especially important for negotiations, for releasing something that you're finished looking at, and also for forgiving yourself and for others. The big energy this month is transformation and movement, as we were looking at with like the plate tectonic energy of the world card. And what I saw symbolically to represent that transformation was the caterpillar. And so what you want to do with a caterpillar just kind of sits, feeds, waits, and gets ready for the next step. So for those of you that are in that pause stage, be like the caterpillar, but feed your mind and feed your soul and get ready and know that it's going to happen. That Three of Wands is sort of associated with the caterpillar. And then I want you to kind of ease into the change. There'll come a point where it's beyond an ease, and it's actually a clear on waterfall here, as we saw. You're going to be pulled into it. And at that point, I feel like the gravity is helping you gain momentum if you allow it to. If you fight it, question yourself and say, am I just fighting it because I'm afraid of where I'm going? or I'm afraid to give up something. If that's the case, then work on that a little bit. For many of you, there's a window of opportunity. We saw it in the form of the Ace of Pentacles here. It's opening up. Are you ready? There's also an Ace of Cups. It could be love, it could be work, it could be a little bit of both. So when that window or those two windows open, realize that lightning doesn't strike in the same place twice usually. So this is your chance to really capitalize on this opportunity. Don't let it slip you by, or pass you by rather. And then make sure, especially for those of you that are kind and giving to others, that you are practicing what you preach and you're taking care of yourself. I was driving my car the other day and I was stressed out. It was a doctor's appointment. It's so funny. The new cars can sense when you're stressed, and it actually said, take a break. And so I did. I'm like, all right, Prius, I got it. So make sure that you practice what you preach and take a break. Even the car knows better sometimes. Maintain the integrity of your goals and ideas. I'm all for change, but don't change something that's integral to you. If there's something that you really need to do or want to do, obviously find a way to do it. It just might require a different approach. We talked about protection. I actually feel like for many of you, this is going into those lower three chakras that we were talking about. So first, second, and third, base or root, sexual, and then solar plexus. Going into those which kind of connect with protection, creativity, and sensuality and expression, and then also the ability to kind of hold your own space. Of course, those are going to be important for you to go higher. So I think that's important for you to work on, but particularly as we look at the lower chakras, that's going to be important, okay? As we look at your center card, there's an opportunity. Are you ready to take it? Some of you might also be looking for trying to sell something or a new opportunity in front of you, like you're opening something up. So I think that however this kind of opens up, it could be really exciting for you. All right. The next piece that I'm seeing here with the 9 of Swords is that there's a chance for you to look at what's triggering you. Are you feeling that you're just sort of going into worst case scenarios? If you are, with the 9 of with the 9 of Swords, what you really want to focus on is it fear just because I am unsure or unaware of what might be coming next? Am I just kind of like afraid of what's possible? If so, I think you can kind of have a conversation, a sort of figurative conversation with fear, and say, you know, I'm not really that afraid of you. And what's the worst that can happen? What if it works? And watch fear diminish, kind of meditate on fear diminishing in your life. And that's going to be very, very helpful. Then as we look here, this is the most important card probably in the spread. We have the World here. So for me, as we look at the foundation for everything this month, it's all changing, it's all moving, it's already happening. Just like the caterpillar, which right before it goes into a chrysalis or a metamorphosis stage, if you ever watch the video, you'll see the skin coming off, but the butterfly is already starting to kind of take shape or take form underneath the caterpillar. So you've already started the growth and development. It might be a 3-month journey for you, but your chrysalis stage is about to happen sometime over this month of August. Queen of Swords, use your communication skills to bring up any questions that you have, any concerns that you have, to eradicate the fears and uncertainties that you might have. You can do this. Your voice is very, very powerful this month. So maybe people are drawn to your speaking abilities, something that you've written or something that you've created, but you have a great ability to sort of market or sell it this month. So embrace that. That's a great thing. Love is available to you if you're ready, but it feels like there's a little bit of healing to do for yourself, a little bit of healing to happen or work on. And also for those of you in a relationship, there's some honesty that has to take place, because usually when the Moon card comes through, there's something that you don't trust or don't believe or can't talk about. So you got to bring that into the light of day and sort of like just love, heal, and understand and figure out what's next. The good news with this is I'm not seeing something like the Tower or the Judgment card or the Justice card. It just feels like there's something you need to talk about. So don't be afraid. And then for the rest of you looking at overall relationships, I believe that this is what the integrity thing was about that I got in the channeled message. If you're being asked to sign a contract, and you might, because we've got the Queen of Swords and the Ace of Pentacles. If you don't like something or if you're feeling stressed out, ask for some extra information, get a lawyer to look at it. Don't be afraid to demand some sort of a revision. A lot of times you can just do a little, you can cross it out, initial it, and have everybody sign it. So if you need to make a last minute line item change, or if you want a revision to the contract, do it before you sign it so that you're not signing something that you're uncomfortable with. Focus on your mental health this month. It's super important. And if you're just feeling overwhelmed, take some time off. You have support, by the way. So if you're ready for it, reach out to kind of receive it. If you're doing everything on your own, ask yourself, why am I doing that? Is it to prove that to myself, or is there another reason because it feels like you don't have to do that? Goals can and will be achieved. In fact, the ship is already in the harbor here. You're not waiting for it to come in. So be very, very open and seize that opportunity if it's come to you. You have the ability to manage whatever things come your way because we have the King of Wands there. Flip it upside down when it comes to emotions and fears this month because you can handle it. Part of that involves looking at the seemingly insurmountable blocks that may be coming through in your life and realizing it's not necessarily about a straight path. I could find a winding one, a way around, or maybe there's a tunnel through it. There's another way. And this is where I see some resources and opportunities opening up for you. Rekindle the fire in an old friendship or love. If you're meeting somebody new, really focus on both of you bringing that torch and being, we talked about this yesterday, sort of like binary stars. Both of you have the ability to inspire, to enlighten, and neither of you should have to sort of like solely be the torch bearer. And finally, when we're looking at courage, I think it's important to just face your fears. And it is sometimes about faking it till you making it, because it says face fears with confidence. Fear depends on your reluctance to want to see it, to want to face it, to want to talk about it. So the way to starve it is actually to look at it head on and really pay attention to it. It's kind of like if you ever look at a reflection or look at anything, it's the form starts to shift a little bit. And I think this will happen with fear as well. Let's move along now to the soul path. I want to look at the plate tectonic stuff here from the past. Is there something that you need to finish kind of dealing with so that you have a more steady foundation? Is there something that is going on that you need to be aware of? Is there an opportunity that you can still capitalize on that you haven't? What's the world about? We have the Page of Wands. It's reversed. For me, pages are great because they are about the ability to perceive things and also communicate things. And so with the wands here, what I'm seeing is an idea. And there's been a couple of these in the deep past this month where it's almost like you put an idea to rest, or you had not considered something because maybe you just didn't think it was possible. So my message with this particular very magical Page of Wands is to make the impossible possible, or to consider like a what if moment with something that you had thought of, I can't do this, or I'm not going to do this. It's interesting too, because wands, we think sometimes just as, like a magical wand. But to me, if you take something as practical as a pencil and like make a plan, that's a wand. You're actually taking I only have pens in front of me, but symbolic enough anyway. This is the same as taking a wand and doing something with it. So if you want to make action happen, make a little contract with yourself, write something down, journal. And that's actually what I'm getting with this, is using a pen or a pencil as a sort of figurative wand and writing what you need to down, a new contract, a new plan, a new journey. And also that's how I receive information, is through automatic writing. So I have to write things down a few times. It's not always perfect the first time. So I go through a few cards sometimes before I get the message. And I also go from tapping it into my phone to writing it on paper to maybe rewriting it on paper. So there's something powerful about taking your hand and writing. And even if it's not something that you like to do, there's a connection between the sort of metaphysical or the idea phase and then starting to bring it into action. So if you've been feeling stuck, paint, write, create, go out and garden, but do something with your hands where you're being productive and you're putting the energy into it. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And then the other thing with the Page of Wands is not to be so stubborn. So if there's something where people have been telling you time and again, think about this. That actually came through. I forgot about it until I saw this card. There was a piece in one of my dreams where someone was trying to tell me something and I wasn't listening, and darned if they weren't right. So at least admitting to yourself, yeah, maybe I should listen to that person, or I should try this. I think that's going to be really important, because there's nothing wrong with seeing it from another angle, but sometimes it feels like I don't want to admit that I'm wrong. Well, what about just seeing a new way to get it done? It's not about wrong or right. It's about finding a way to finish things. So there you go. That was a lot to unpackage, but I hope it makes sense. We're going to look now at present. And as I look at the present, we see the Ace of Pentacles here in the middle. And I'm also looking at the emotional stuff. So how can you move through the emotions so that you're not missing an opportunity? If I were to kind of like put them all together, that's what I'm saying. Sorry, I'm just looking at the emojis there. All right. So here we go. We have the Hermit here. And so with this particular Hermit, it's interesting because he has a very sort of Father Christmas vibe, St. Nicholas. So for some of you, interesting. We're looking at basically a 6-month journey here, right? Or roundabout 5 or 6. So because we're beyond the halfway mark of the year actually already. So let's just say for the rest of 2020, you are going to probably vacillate between moments of, I understand now the 9 of Cups. And this also has to do with what's going on a global scale. So this is moments of contraction and expansion. So there are times when we're able to be out in public. There are times when we're going to be alone. There are times when we feel very isolated. There are times when we are around others, but we might be feeling afraid because we have to distance ourselves. The only thing that matters with the Hermit, and the only thing that matters in all of these periods of contraction and expansion, is the light that he's holding, the star that he's holding. He always holds the star. It's hidden and you can't really see it in this lantern as much. So we could basically infer from the style of illustration on this particular deck that what we're looking at is right around the holiday season, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, etc., New Year's, that there'll be a big shift of energy for everybody, but especially for Pisces, since I'm reading for you. And over the course of the next few months, you want to carry the torch, and it's the second time we've seen the torch this month. And the torch can also be a torch of courage, like don't give up. I mean, these are the same messages and the same energies that I'm seeing time and again here. And all of the Wands cards are showing also the need for you to kind of have your own fire, right? Because that's, in different decks, you'll see like a wand or a baton or a salamander or fire itself, because it's the element of fire. And so your key to success, and I know that's kind of, you might think it's not compatible because Pisces, water, but what I'm seeing for you is to find your inner fire, to find your passion. So if you go into the passion and stay driven, stay passionate about what you're trying to do, and also try to lift people up a little bit, like we saw with this Archangel card here, I think this is your key to success. You're going to be the light in the dark sometimes. And that's what light workers do. And we're not afraid of this period in time because it's a definition period. And this is light work here as well. So as light workers, we have to go into the unknown, go into the darkness, and show our lanterns, show our light, and the shadows will retreat. And we have to do that to our own shadows in our own lives. We find and create the courage. I would say you create courage, you don't find it. Everybody has to just sort of like go there and go out on a limb. And I feel like that's what you have the ability to conjure it up. So conjure up the light now, and don't succumb to the feelings of what if, because notice how the 9 of Cups is actually a seer, an oracle, psychic. So you create that which you feel, that which you see in your third eye. So if you see the possibilities, they come through. If you don't, then you call in the opposite. And I really just probably need to wear my glasses the whole time because I almost didn't see this. See the little ladybug on the crystal ball there? So I actually feel like there's some luck coming around the corner. You just have to look a little closer. That was one of my messages and I almost forgot today. So look a little closer and there's that little ladybug. So I feel like there's something there's a nice little silver lining. You just have to be open to that. Okay. Definitely you are the torch bearer or the hermit. You've got the star. He gives way to the star itself. Basically, it's almost like he's keeping that under wraps a little bit. So for some of you, maybe there's just this moment where you're like, when do I show my true colors? Because I imagine him as a more symbolic thing where it's almost like a cloak over the star itself. And when he opens up, you would see his full light. He's just showing a little bit. But the hermit to me is always bright. You just can't see it. He's hiding his light a little bit. Okay. Also soul searching, of course. So do a little bit of soul searching this month, figure out what you want. Let's look at the future. How can we get you into the torchbearer, to the light worker? I'm glad you guys are laughing. Yeah, there'll be a point where I'm just wearing glasses the whole time, but I'm holding off a little bit on that. Okay, we have temperance here. And I think the important thing with this particular temperance card is to remember that, again, I get a more sort of, it's almost like an alchemy. There's been a lot of messages of alchemy in this particular deck. So if you can be sort of like the calm creator is what I'm seeing with this, anything is possible. And notice also how we have like all these little spiritual orbs around her. So know that you're being guided and kind of whispered to from spirit. We saw that also with the archangel here. So you are being guided. I think the important thing as we look at this is to keep an open mind. We have a lot of fire in these first two cards. So finding your inner fire, finding your inner purpose, sticking to it, figuring out when that reveal moment is, knowing that for many of you, it probably is going to happen around the end of the year. And then just keep on cooking, keep on brewing your magic brew and make that moment happen. And that's what I'm seeing with these three cards. So it feels like you're on the right path. It's just a little bit longer than expected here with the Three of Wands. So don't give up, okay? And look for those little signs that may require you to put on your glasses to see that there's something more than you first expected there. And that goes along with the message that I wrote here at the very, very, very beginning, which was to dig deeper, okay? We're a little bit over, so I want to make sure we have time for our meditation. I'd love for you to stick around for that. While I'm getting the singing bowl set up, please hit subscribe if you haven't. A lot of times when I go live, nobody subscribes. So please subscribe. It helps YouTube know that this is worthwhile, and hit the thumbs up, like button if you can as well. And sorry, I just woke up Apollo there. And we're going to get set up here. And as I'm looking at this, I really like this image here, looking into the well. So does Apollo. So we'll use that image there. Maybe a little bit of the hermit too. So we'll see if I can pull the two together. Yeah, you saw him looking over the corner. He was like, are we done yet, Dad? What's going on? Okay. We'll get another cameo at the end. He usually comes out when I play the singing bowl. We'll see. Okay, so if you could just close your eyes, we're going to go into the forest at nighttime. We're going to have starlight, and I want you to imagine that just like the hermit card over here, that you're carrying your lantern. We're going to be looking for that secret well that we see here, the soul's well, if you will. And we're going to do a little bit of light work in that soul well. Okay. So imagine that you are going into the forest at night. You feel safe. You can hear the owls. You can hear the birds around you. They're showing you the path to get to where you need to go. And as you start to step foot into the forest, you can feel the soft floor beneath you. It feels very mossy. It feels very gentle. The ground isn't too rocky. And you find your way to a clearing where you can see the beautiful North Star shining through, creating this brilliant sort of starlight beam coming down. And as you look at where the starlight is pointing, you see what first just looks like some diamonds in the kind of interspersed on the ground. And then you realize as you get a little closer, it's actually a well. And I want you to take your lantern up and hold it over the well and see what is revealed to you. And just like a scrying mirror, it could be a little bit different for all of you. Imagine that you're seeing some pieces of your past, your present, and your future. And whatever's in the past, you understand a little bit more why it came through. And there's this feeling of peace generally speaking, with whatever the past reflection is. So if it's someone that you loved, if it's someone that you had a sort of negative experience with, if it's a hope or a fear and anxiety, as you look at it through the lens of your soul's mirror here, you realize that it was a teacher that came through. And it no longer has sort of any other energy other than universal love. And it's just showing you that you've basically integrated the message that it was trying to teach you. And it reverently bows to you and it just fades away. And in this moment, there's no feeling of loss or anxiety. There's just a feeling that that part of you is no longer connected to that thing, and you kind of feel more whole within your body. And as you look at your torch, the light's getting a little bit brighter. As you look at the present, you see all of the things in front of you that might be causing you to question your path, your journey, your momentum. You might even see the figurative, not the tower, but the mountain that is in your way. And I want you to imagine that as you start to gaze into this sort of soul well, you are able to see a way through the mountain, through the obstacle, through whatever it is that's holding you back from being able to accomplish what's truly you, what's truly available to you. I want you to take a deep breath, and I want you to pull the lantern up to the highest possible way, like stretch way up tall. You can take both of your hands too and stretch up. And imagine now that you're going to call in the light. You're going to kind of become a little bit of a high priestess here and bring the light through your body, through every single chakra in your body. And I want you to start to own your inner star. And you can put the lantern down now because you've started to now illuminate the water just through. It's almost as if your skin is glowing and your eyes are glowing, and you are no longer sort of a physical being, but you're an energetic being. So looking now at what's in front of you, you see what it truly is. You can almost see through the mountain. You can see around it. And you can see the path to get where you need to go. So I want you now to commit to completing your journey and your goal, and let any sort of fear of being blocked just fade away, and allow this mountain to just dissolve back into the water. And as we meditate and listen to the sound bowl, I want you to conjure in the dream of what the future will be. Where is the energy taking you next? And just like this card that I showed you earlier, with your newfound light, I want you to reach into the water and start to create it. Imagine that the water itself could be manipulated, that the energy and the light that you're putting in here is going to create that vision of the future. You can also just close your eyes and touch the water and infuse in your soul's sort of well what you're going to create, what you're going to do. And just listen to the bowl as I play it, and then we will rejoin one another in just a moment. Take a moment to look at what you've created. Lift your hands up from the water. Rub them together. Feel that you still have a connection to that dream, to that energy that you've just conjured up in that well. Put your left hand on your heart, your right hand on top of that. Gaze into this creation that's in front of you. Take a deep breath and feel that you're actually breathing that energy into your mind, into your body, into your soul. and that you're going to own that future version of yourself, that plan, that dream, that aspiration, simply by making a decision that I will, I can, I am. You're going to use a pencil or a pen this month and write down some of your goals and dreams as well, and make your dreams happen. One last breath, inhale. Exhale, and welcome back, everybody. And I hope you enjoyed the meditation today and the messages that came through, and I hope that they gave you some clarity on what is possible in the month ahead. And just one quick moment here to say thanks to everybody. I saw that there were a couple of new channel members that joined, and there was a question earlier how you get the green text, and that's how. Everybody that you see there that has green text basically just gives a little bit per month. And the cool thing is you can start and stop it at any time. I have a bunch of other people here that are patrons, so thank you to those as well. Those are two easy ways to kind of like set it and forget it. And again, this is one of my newer decks, the Ganesha deck. And I also use this for another sign. Maybe I'll use it for Pisces next, but I'm always buying new decks and trying to update things. And all of the ones that I'm showing you here are ones that you helped me buy. So thank you. I'm going to go through some quick information here. It's all available on my website, which is nicholasashbaugh.com. So if you can't remember it, you can just go there and see everything there. First of all, again, thank you to everybody that became a member or sent a chat today. I will reply to my pinned comment probably about half an hour after it's live, and I'll say thank you there. I'd love for you to join me on social media if you haven't already. I try to remind everybody of upcoming readings, particularly on Facebook and Instagram. I use the story feature there. And then also on Twitter, I will use just a daily tweet. But on all of these platforms, my username is the same. I actually was just able to get the same one on Instagram, which is cool. So it's at Nicholas Ashbaugh on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Patreon. And YouTube, it's really easy if you haven't already done it. Please just click the subscribe button. It doesn't cost anything for that. And the like button doesn't cost anything, but it just says thank you. And this is a way to receive emails of when I post the videos. The only network that kind of has a different social network that has a different username is Twitter, and it's just at @Ashbaugh. And if you want to kind of go old school, you can use PayPal. Again, this is all on my website, so you can just go there. And it's paypal.me/Nicholas Ashbaugh. Such beautiful messages, Pisces, that came through for you. We went over. You're the last sign, so sometimes I don't care. I give you a little extra because I read you later. So don't complain about it. You get a little extra because of that. So thank you so much. And by the way, my third eye is usually wide open by the time I read for you. So hopefully you enjoyed the messages and received the healing that you need. Lots of love from me to you and Apollo, who's now in the other room. He's like, I've had enough of the cards, Dad. It's time for a walk. So I'm going to walk him. Take care, everybody. I'll be back again next month, and I'll post the schedule closer to the end. If you haven't signed up for my newsletter yet, you can go to my website. There's a link at the top, and you can get the newsletter. And I always announce the dates around the same time. Usually around the 1st, I'll put the dates for the next month. So until then, take care of yourselves. I'll do a singing bowl meditation probably in the next week too. But until then, I will see you guys next month. All right. Have a great August. Lots of love, and take care of yourselves. Okay. Bye-bye.